welcome to my channel. My name is April, and I'm so grateful to be recording this for you. 3 years ago, I started this channel under a different name with the goal of creating relatable and attainable interior design content. I, at the time, committed to myself that I was going to give YouTube and content creation a full year of my life. I was going to stick to a consistent upload schedule, and I was going to create content that was relevant and timely for people here on YouTube. I took advice that I had heard from other creators. All you need is phone, all you need is camera, just start. And so I just started. I had no plan, no strategy for how I was going to achieve things. I just knew that I wanted to create content. And so I got a camera. I used that camera with my phone, and I bought a microphone, and I started making content. And by the end of that first year, I was completely burnt out. No more ideas were forthcoming, and I had no more energy to dedicate to this because I was dealing with a very demanding job, as well as family situations and circumstances coming up, and I was exhausted. I was completely depleted. I ended up going through a major depressive episode during that time. It was a lot. I remember feeling like a complete failure. Like I had let all of the friends that I had made on here and myself down. People who had promoted my work, people who had really encouraged me to keep striving, to keep putting content out because I was providing value here. And I went in with no strategy for managing my time and my content, and I was completely depleted. I didn't have a backlog of ideas, and trying to film, edit, and brainstorm content on the fly while balancing the demands of a 9-to-5 job. It was the perfect recipe for burnout. That year of effort resulted in a 3-year hiatus from YouTube. That massive failure and the struggles of my demanding job prepared me for this moment. Now, I know what I need to do. I have a plan. I have the resources necessary to execute it and the drive to do it well. I think failure at something that is meant for you is only a tragedy if you choose to quit. Every year I've been away from YouTube, I have told myself that I was going to come back. I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. I didn't know where I wanted to take my channel, but I always knew that I wasn't done. At the end of last year, I tossed around some ideas with my partner. I had this strong sense that 2025 was going to be significant. There was going to be newness. There was going to be something big happening in 2025. There's something massive is happening in the lives of creators in 2025. And I don't just mean people here on YouTube. I mean people who had made their lives on TikTok and are now moving over to Redbook. I mean people who have made an entire career of writing blogs and creating travel-related content for people. I mean people who are artists who have, because of last year and building up their portfolio, are now moving into this next year, and they've got brand deals and new retrospectives that are opening up at different museums. I mean creatives of all types, from all walks of life. Something massive is happening for all of us, and I think that this transition is going to mean a lot to each and every one of us. For me personally, I thought that this sense of significance, this idea that this year was going to be big, meant that I was supposed to pursue a new career. So I started applying for jobs. I think I applied for over a dozen jobs in my field with better pay than what I'm making now, not by much, but with similar benefits and everything, and absolutely nothing came through. Nothing. The 2 jobs that I had heard back from said no. The other jobs that I applied for I didn't hear anything back from. Which, if you are a recruiter or you are a hiring manager and there are people that are actively applying for positions, please don't leave people hanging. That's not cool. That's not cool. Anyways, despite my experience and qualifications, absolutely nothing came through. And while I was job hunting, I realized something about myself. I don't like busy work. I don't like busy and meaningless work. I like for any position that I am in, for any employer, to be a position where I actively create joy, create something beautiful for my community and for the people around me. Something that will positively impact the lives of people beyond myself. The job that I have now is demanding but fulfilling in that way, and fulfilling enough to get me through each day. It's not perfect, but I don't hate it. I like my job. I like the people that I work with. I like the people that I work for. And that is the standard for every job that I apply for everything that I consider doing going forward. If I am not content, if contentment and fulfillment is not the baseline for any job, then that job is not for me. And with that realization, I started considering other options. I genuinely felt and feel that the job that I have now has a lot of things going for it in a way that I feel like not very many employers, not very many businesses and corporations have figured out how to do. They haven't quite tapped into the fact that if your employees are happy, then your work is going to be better. The products that you produce, the services that you provide, the productivity that you see is inextricably tied to how content your employees are. If your employees can't afford to pay their rent, if they can't afford to, pay for groceries, if they are constantly having to make the decision between, am I going to feed myself or am I actually going to go to the doctor to get a mammogram? If they have to make those sorts of decisions, then you are creating a hostile and violent work environment that is not conducive to the success, the future and long-term success of your company. If your employees are happy, if they are happy, then you are going to see better results from them and better results from your company as a whole. Totally fine. Thought about applying for a master's program, and I did. I applied. I began the application. And immediately after I began that application, other things started happening. It was one of those things where I had the right what, but not the right when. I genuinely feel like I am meant to get my master's degree, but the timing right now is not the time. The time right now is to build. And because the time right now is to build, the vision for my business ended up coming to me shortly after I began the application process. I want to say it came to me. The business and the vision for this YouTube channel came to me, I want to say, within the first few days of the new year. I was, at midnight, New Year's Day, writing down a vision and a business plan. Like, this is the new year. I'm supposed to be drinking champagne and watching The Holiday. Like, this is not the time to be writing stuff down, but apparently it was. So, everything came to me in that moment, except for the name of the business and the logo. So I asked my partner for help. He's the one who gave me the name. And the name felt right. The name felt like jazz. It was beautiful. And it epitomized everything that I was trying to do for my business and for this channel. So from there, strategies for trademarking, forming an LLC, building the marketing for the business, they all flowed naturally. Sometimes the things that we are meant for reveal themselves in the passions that we wake up thinking about and go to sleep dreaming about. And it wasn't until that moment when everything came to me that I realized that I had been doing the work every day for the last 3 years. They weren't wasted. They were all in preparation for this moment. My name is April, and this is Leisurely April at Home, the channel where we explore intentional living through mindful design, budgeting, books, and planning. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. If you are new here, I am so glad that you've joined us. Together, we will embrace lifelong learning, personal growth, and the joy of creating a life that is both beautiful and meaningful. I'm so glad you're here, and I can't wait for us to get started.